Alrighty, it's a pretty easy day today. I've got a fair bit done all the same. Jammed the flashings up there, bloody hell. Had to undo the screws, get a friggin' jemmy bar and try and slam it all up. And you can't exactly fit it in the spot where you got the damn jemmy bar, but then if you let the jemmy bar out, the spot closes up. So it was a bit of a circus. Got a little tiny bit there to fix up a bit that was left open essentially by the fact that the wood is now gone, and it's, yeah, things just stepped back a little bit as a result. So I got all that in. Unfortunately, it drops down here, like I was saying. That first bit was all right. The second piece, and there's a bit that's sitting down there, is part of the second piece that had the warp in it, the bow, and I tried to stick it in first, and I couldn't get it in, so the stuff, I put the other piece in just to get on with the job. So I put the other piece in. Then I tried to stick that piece in again with the bow, and there's no way knowing it was going to happen. It just was not going to happen. I undone the screws a whole lot more out of the weatherboard, and it just no way. And so I had to cut it in half. So one half's down there and the other half's there. Now, as I got to this point where it goes down by necessity of putting that in, but having to have that low enough so I can actually screw it in without hitting the friggin' downpipe, all of a sudden, yeah, it wasn't going to make it. There's too big of a gap. So I'm either going to have to remake that piece or bend it on a different angle and sort of have it go, instead of just going down and out like that, it's going to have to go down, out on a different angle, and then maybe even step flat for a little bit to give me a part to screw or rivet to the actual thing. I thought actual roof sheets. I thought I was going to have to rivet all that flashing to the roof sheets. The batten happened to be in the right spot that I can actually put the roofing screw with a rubber seal through the flashing, through the roof sheet and straight into the batten all in the one hit. So that worked out bloody fantastic and saved me a lot of rivets. As a result, yeah, I've still got to do that little bit of flashing, which I'll do later. The sun did not look like it was going to come out at all until about, 2:30. All of a sudden the clouds pissed off, and like, you wouldn't believe all this clear sky, right? Absolutely cloudless sky. There's a couple way over there, but this morning, I don't know if you can see there's an eagle up there. This morning, this was just solid rolling clouds for as far as the eye could see. And, yeah, it was sort of warm, but it was not bright. And when it became bright, I suddenly decided, well, maybe I better cut the flashings for the second lot there while I am able to charge drill batteries with all this bright sunlight. So I cut them all with a cordless angle grinder and slapped the thing straight on the charge. Anyway, tomorrow's a big day. We're going to rip the rest of these out here. You may note I have already got the flashings off this side. What you see there is the old original wood, like your barge board and all that. And yeah, so tomorrow I can just rip all that off. And yeah, get stuck into it again with me father. Yeah, I'll just show you this one as well. Cats have been bloody asleep in the sun half the day. It's been a beautiful warm day. Geez, usually cats sort of just doze and then move around, but some of them just were completely asleep. Like old black kitty here, I thought she's freaking dead. She was that still. Anyway, I whacked that panel in. I've still got to get like another bit of timber to go from here up to there to be able to put this one in. I've got another piece for the back there, but like it doesn't, I've got nothing to attach it to. I can screw it into this one, but I've got nothing to attach it to here, so I've got to work out a little bracket or something probably a couple of little brackets. May even be some of those brackets I got the other day. I might use them. We'll just see. I don't know. They just sort of don't feel strong enough, to be honest. Having said, yeah, I don't really want to put a whole ton of them there either. Yeah, I might have to work out a bracket anyway for that. But I did go around with the silicone and, yeah, cover over the little bits. Some of these are obviously going to need flashings and shit like that too. But at least we got the screws sealed everywhere, regardless. Yeah, so anyway, that's where we're at today. That's about all the footage you're going to get today. I was too busy getting on with it in the morning, and you know, when you got silicone involved and shit like that, you don't want to get out a flaming camera and get silicone on the camera. So, yeah, and the batteries on this is kind of low, and I didn't really have the sunlight to be able to necessarily charge it up when I absolutely had to have cordless drill batteries going, but didn't necessarily have to have a charged up phone. So anyway, I had better go and get something to eat. Well, I think somebody must have flown a drone in the middle of the night or something. Seems the drones have blown the shit out of the side of the building. They come off pretty good, actually. There's some seriously heavy nails. There's one there you probably can't see, but bloody hell, talk about big nail, flaming hell. There's a few of them that are sort of along the piece that runs up along the edge. I've had to cut off. I've had the bolt cutters, which sitting up there with the cordless angle grinder, supposed to cut 10mm bolts. These things are probably fully shot. They'd be slightly more than a 1/4 inch thick, these frickin' nails. They're probably about a 1/4 inch thick, which is about 6.25mm or something like that. 6.5mm, somewhere. I think it's 6.25mm, yeah. And even though they're 6.25mm, or something like that, the 10mm bolt cutters won't cut through the frickin' things. And I mean, no hope. Couple of little marks where I sink the damn thing in, but absolutely no hope of cutting something through something that's not much more than half of the rating of the bloody bolt cutters. And you just like this, not much more than half, and not only can I not cut it, I only leave little teeth marks in it. You know, you think, fucking hell, so you got to cut it out with the angle grinder. But all the framing under there is good. You might see the uprights, and there's one along the top there to hold the uprights together. That's part of a rafter, or no, it's actually not part of a rafter. It's just part of the assembly to hold the end framing level. And of course, the planks you can see there, that's the inside palings. And yeah, I had to throw most of it over that way, in front of where my bedroom is and all that, so I didn't hit all this business here. There's a rose bush through there, and one of them's sitting on top of the rose bush. Another one ended up spearing into the box thorn in the back. So a couple went like that. So yeah, sometime I'll have to get all that out. Typical bloody dark as hell, and yet, you know, I'm sort of not dark, but overcast as hell, and yet, you know, I'm starting to sweat already, and it's not just from flaming work. It's not warming up too badly yet, but I can tell it's going to be a hot one anyway. But you know, you end up waking up to 70-something degrees Celsius, and yet you go outside and it's so dark that your damn solar panels ain't going to be doing shit, and yet it's, you know, 70-something Celsius, 70-something Fahrenheit. Yeah, he's found a new spot inside that he likes to sleep in, on a backpack that my uncle had in amongst my tool room. He just lays there. I don't see that much of you, do I, hey? You like to sit under the house as soon as the sun comes out, don't you, hey? Because it's nice and cool under the house, my big pussy, isn't it, eh? Right. You're going to nip me again, are you? Hey? Does that mean overstimulation? I only just started patting you. Hey? You like nipping things, you like playing with things, don't you, hey? You're a nice pussy. Anyway, I might go water some grapevines. It's a few minutes before my father gets here, and I've still got to get the last of those bits of board out and a couple of nails and that, and just going to whack in the white brush into a little Milwaukee and just blow away some of the cobwebs and dust and accumulated shit in amongst the boards that's there. I could wipe it with my hand or whatever, but I wouldn't really get it off. I'm not going to do a flipping hand wire brush if I can just give it a quick zip with a drill. What do you reckon, little buddy? You like your mama, hey? I seem to notice that with a couple of these little kittens, when you go to actually do something or talk to them or pat them, they automatically respond with a meow. Something the black kitty always does. As soon as you get her attention, every time. Here's the strips. That one was already cut, I think. This one I just cut to length. This one here I cut out completely out of the side of another piece yesterday. It's always good to be able to look at forecasts. Like, if you've got limited power like I have, I mean, it's not too bad. When you work out you got like 200 amp hours, realistically before you cause damage you can, use 100 amp hours of those 200 amp hours. And, you got an 18 volt battery, which is 3 amp hours for your cordless angle grinder or your drill or whatever. And while it isn't exactly 12 volt, it gives you a bit of a ballpark figure of how much power you're using. Plus you add in another, 15% loss or whatever, 30% loss from the inverter, and you sort of, know that you're not flattening your batteries too bad. You might be taking out about 5% out of your batteries for every one of these 3 amp hour batteries that you charge up. But that'd only be 5% of the 100 amp hours. But yeah, all the same, I'd rather have the sun out before I do things. So when the sun's coming out, or it's just starting to come out, and we've had a lot of, you never notice this crap when you don't have to, when you live on grid, but when you live off grid, you'll notice things like the days at the end of winter that are absolutely cloudless, as bright, and yet still cold. And you're walking around and, it's like, hell, what is it? It's like not even 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and yet the sun is just like so bright you have to wear sunglasses all day. And I know they've got the same sort of thing in Canada too, but they still have snow everywhere and it's bright like that. And then you get these bizarre days, which we usually only get this sort of crap during autumn, where you have this cloud and during winter as well, where you have this cloud that just fucking hangs there. But now we're in a cycle of cloud hangs there, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all the cloud's gone. And you get to notice these cycles. And you also make a point of looking at the UV index on the weather forecast. And if it says that there's extreme UV, well, most likely it means that you can get a chance of being sunburned, and 80% of the time that means the sun's going to come out nice and bright. But it also says in the forecast if it's going to be cloudy or sunny. Yeah, and then you can sort of, if you've got to run a lot of shit, you can flatten all your batteries, and when the sun comes out, you can flatten all in charge, and you sort of, you can gear your work with that. But I noticed the sun come out, and I know I had to cut those, so then I went ahead and cut them sort of thing and charged up everything I could while the sun was out before it went past the trees and then basically wasn't hitting the panels. And we had a bit of a window of opportunity there. But yeah. Anyway, I better go get these grapevines watered. I might show you how they're going actually. This one's going remarkably well. Unfortunately, it seems to be trailing up on a bit of grass that broke off a long time ago, as opposed to the string here. Well, some of it is, but the majority of it's still going the other direction. This here, I've just got tied on with zip ties. What I realistically should do is hook this little piece over the wire. So if the zip ties break, it's not a problem, but I should just clip them off and put it on anyway. They do sort of, on occasion, I believe, restrict the flow of or growth of the plant. In the long run, I think the plant would snap the bloody things anyway, but they are UV resistant ones, I'm pretty certain. Look at it here, grabbing another piece of wire, another piece of grass. That one's gone remarkably good, shockingly good. I had stacks of them, as you can see. Most of them bugs got, and the rest it was just hot bloody wind. You know, I've left this box on here just to protect it from the wind mainly, but seeing there's none even in the way of this, I might get rid of the bastard this year. Once the leaves fall off these in autumn, I might just sock it to it and then we can pull it out of the tractor or whatever. The other one, he's never been terribly good because he gets attacked by a lot of bugs. And there's the other one. Now these, surprise, surprise, are old enough that they're probably going to give me grapes next year. No certainty, because they've had such a hard bloody hammering over the years, and they haven't really got a decent size, you know. And although under good conditions, by a certain age they will give you grapes, these haven't faced good conditions, so I don't know if that will delay the grapes. Might get a half-assed bunch on this one, or something like that. Often, your first year that you get grapes, you get very, very few, and they taste as bland as fuck. But that's just what you get for your first year, and then the second year seems to be pretty good. Actually, your second and third years, you usually get enough grapes to fucking drown yourself. Yeah. Poor bastard's had a couple of bugs, and I've given it a spray, so as a result, there's a couple of leaves that got chewed and whatnot there. Anyway, it's funny how I can just turn around and there's freaking grapevines all down there, all down there. Yeah, I think there's some there, side on, I don't know. I know further up here, you've got a few olive trees, and further up here there's more olive trees. You know, there's vineyards bloody everywhere around here. But it's when you grow them in big bank lots that it's a bit different, because the outer ones take the heat and the wind and all the shit, and the other ones are sort of protected by their outer counterparts. Not so when you just got a handful like this. Anyway, these are actually, if you know a variety, they're Mataro, M-A-T-A-R-O. That's a one they use in combination to make what we call GSM, Grenache Shiraz Mataro. Sometimes they just have Grenache Mataro. That's one of the combo wines. Yeah, they're not eating grapes, they won't last for ages, unless you put them in a freezer or something like that. Quite honestly, the amount of grape seeds that produce, I'd have eaten them all before they flame and get to the stage of turning to shit. They'll turn to shit within about 3 days of being picked. And I don't think with these handful that, even if they had 8 bunches per friggin' vine, you know, that mature over the space of a month, well, hey, you know, I'd eat every single damn one as soon as they're ready anyway. Anyway, gone from 16 down to 3, so it hasn't really been a great success. But yeah, at least I thought I was overdoing it, and it wasn't a stupid idea to overdo it. It may have been a good idea to put shade cloth up there as well earlier on in the piece, but you know, we got what we got. had bigger priorities than playing around with grapes. Grapes all around me and friggin' plums and all this other stuff that goes and grows well without a problem. Alrighty. Starting to try to rain. It's about the third time it's tried to have a little skiff. It's raining all over there, and yeah, it's starting to come down. Oh, that would be the wind. Yes. Choppity chop, chop chop, chop chop. I say, well, maybe the same on the back, probably not, because I might put Dynabolt through, but this might end up being my stove rack. This come from an auntie of mine. She had a TV sitting on this. They gave her the better one than my grandparents had in the nursing home, and took this Thailand-made heap of crap back. Show you a little trick. Laminex? No. Contact. Like book contact, just thicker. Not joking. That's how they rip you off. It's just a giant sticker, not Laminex. Welcome to the world of Asian manufacturing. Everything's cheaped out and substituted. The other one they use is thick filming paint, a paint that will set with an even film and no runs at about 1.5 mil thick. I don't know what that is in. Oh, it's probably about 1/16 of an inch, I think. That'll film off it. Anyway, we done it. Unfortunately, I don't know how the freaking hell this happened. The first one was measured 8 inches up the shit. My father was all worried about the battens and some of the top plates and rubbish for the wall going down there, trying to pull it over the top of it, and then somehow we still ended up 8 inches too short. So, unfortunately, we had to use the one with a little hole in it as the bottom one, and the one that was originally going to be the first one ended up being the second one. We had to use 2 pieces of that pink thing. I was a bit surprised we actually had to use that many. They're the only 2 sort of maybe half good bits. It's going a little bit rotten about there, just on the surface. I'm going to get into this with the wire brush thingy in the Milwaukee. I've chucked all those under the power tools actually under the veranda for the moment because of this dripping rain. It don't really rain, it's just spitting and pissing around. And yeah, later on, if this sort of pisses off or the sky clears up, it's about 12:30 now, so by 2:30 it might be like some yesterday where it sort of pissed off by 2:30, or started to anyway. And at that point, then I'll get up there with that wire brush thingy and just try and get rid of some of the bottom of these older boards. It's sort of going a little bit flaky, so try and get that off. Have a go at some of the parts of that which look a little bit shonky on the pink ones, and then just wipe the whole lot down. And then hopefully whip the paint out and give that 2 coats. But anyway, I've already done all the battens and crap, so that's taken care of that. The battens take bloody ages to do. Just a lot of pissing around, you know, especially in the top of this front one. It was all eaten out, you know, and you got to sort of dabble it in and dabble it in again with a brush to try and get it to cover everything all in the little grooves and whatnot. And when you do the actual weatherboards, it's flat out. You just come along with the magical roller. Son of a bitch. Might have got all the paint out of that exactly. You come along with a magical roller and just sort of go sideways. But this roller is a bit different from your full-size ones. Did you hole that side? Nothing. And I'm not joking. That's the end that it sort of is on. That sort of clicks on, or slides onto there. And what it means is you can rub the weatherboards with that, and then you actually turn it angle on, and you use that to paint the bottom edge of the weatherboards. And it works quite well, and by hell it speeds things up compared to where you're getting up with a brush, because you don't have to get into that much with the brush anymore. It's good. You can wipe flipping runs off with that back end of it and everything. So anyway, once all this clouds piss off and I've cleaned all that up, then I can give it a paint, and that should be reasonably fast. And then I might fidget ass around with these flashings that need to go on here and bend the other bits of sheet metal into flashings, and yeah, who knows, we might start to continue on with putting that one on, and then the rest of those which are numbered, and see how we all go with all this stuff. But another thing is, I use completely screws for all this. Those nails really weren't long enough. Some of them had a bit of trouble getting in, so I whacked an extra screw in some of that side, and then I've just done the whole lot of those with screws. Stuff it, you know. I've always been more of a screw person. That's going to sound bad, but when push comes to shove, screws have got a thread, and that thread cannot compare to a friggin' nail. I don't care what anyone says, a nail is just friggin' wedged in there. I don't care if they pass standards or whatever. They pass government standards, they don't pass link standards terribly often, and unless they're twisted shank nails, which are bloody good. And yeah, quite simply, just having that thread on the screw, I trust screws completely. I have tried to demolish shit made out of screws. I think some of it might have been stuff I made myself, and I thought, oh, this will break out. Yeah, bullshit. You have to pull like a machine. And in the end, you give up and get the cordless angle grinder and cut the bloody thing off, because you just can't get it off. Whereas nails, I demolished a partition wall done with 35 by 70 inside an office building, a multi-storey office complex in Melbourne. I demolished the entire lot by swinging the back of my boot. I didn't even need a hammer. All I needed was to swing the back of my boot and know that once you get the bottom of the studs disconnected from the bottom plate by swinging your boot, then you lift the stud up and you twist the thing counterclockwise, and the nails in the top stud will just twist out and you'll pull the whole thing out. And I got rid of an entire wall that way, and that's bloody nails for you. Well, they can forget nails. I've had things that were so strong because they were screwed that they didn't even need bloody cross bracing, because the screws were so well holding the thing together. Yeah, I definitely trust the screws, but not so much the nails. Anyway, that's what we've been up to today, so far. You're winging it, buddy. Hey? There's a little bit of a story behind that wing. I might as well tell you guys. It's still raining. I might actually plaster the inside wall, which I mean to do anyway, because it's inside. That would be a live version of what was a live version of that wing. Anyway, I haven't told you this, I might as well tell you this. Black Kitty, on occasion, takes out the odd feral pigeon, and twice. Once there's a big cluster out here, another time there's some out near the almond trees, basically pigeon feathers that they took out. Right in front of me, well, standing in the veranda, but just out front of the veranda there, tabby cat grabbed a wren once, and the thing got away. But Black Kitty went one better the other night. Now, the magpie, wherever the hell he's gone up there, is in the state emblem of South Australia. It's a common bird here. There he goes. And they're very territorial. They've got their own little patch about quarter mile by quarter mile in size, maybe as much as half a mile by half a mile, and basically, if other magpies go into that zone, they'll attack the shit out of them. And I mean, I've seen 5 or 6 magpies trying to kill one other magpie. They got it on the ground, they're trying to peg it to death, just because it went and crossed over into their zone. Furthermore, there's a thing I've seen on TV once where they're pretty well known to attack you or your dog. They swoop down and they peck your hair. And, well, one poor girl, they swooped down and pecked her eye, and her eyeball literally burst and went down her face. And this guy who was just driving by slowly with his car saw it all happen. They're pretty grumpy little bastards. And in case you didn't realise, they're black and white, and so is my cat. And I was in the shower, having a shower, and I heard this hell of a carry-on. Much the same as when the kestrel attacks them, because the Nankeen kestrels don't particularly like them either. And on occasion they will deliberately try and attack the magpies. But I thought that's sort of strange for a kestrel to attack at night, and how would they see the kestrel? And anyway, I was halfway through my shower, and I finished having my shower, and when I did, I was standing there and heard this noise, sort of something dragging around the veranda, just sort of, you know, like, sort of a bit like that sort of noise. And so I thought, what the hell is going on? So I opened the door, and Black Kitty's walking around holding the magpie by the neck, and its feet are dragging along the floor of the veranda. It was dead, absolutely dead as a maggot. And this is about 5 minutes or so after I heard all the commotion. And this bird, there's no life in it. It was absolutely had it. And, well, basically, for all the times that magpies have attacked everybody else, she's got one back on them, climbed right up, way up in the cypress tree, and walked up behind them in the dark of night, and they probably didn't notice much difference because there's 4 of them that hang around my house, 2 parents and 2 chicks, which have now grown up to be adults, and, you know, they're all black and white, and they notice each other standing near each other, all being black and white, and there's this other black and white thing there that all of a sudden just grabs the one at the back by the neck and kills it. And, yeah, they've been chewing on that for the last couple of days, and, well, now they're just playing with a wing. So anyway, I suppose it shouldn't really have happened, but it has happened. And I just look at it this way, she's getting one back for all the other people who have had hair torn out of their friggin' head by the damn things. Isn't that right, little kitty? Well. Alrighty, we're firing with the plaster. Yeah, just going to do this a little bit here, 38 by 71. And then we should be right. Just got to make a little notchy notch or something for, I'd probably come out there because I don't want to sort of try and sandwich it between the batten here. Yeah, so at some point that's got to come out, obviously, through the plasterboard. That's the light that runs there. If you ever wondered why I don't have any of those electrical cables inside the ceiling space, it's because rats would have eaten them, within a few months of me even putting them in, actually. Rats are a problem. Well, they were until I got cats, and then they still get the random odd rat in the roof. Still, some nights, even very, very few nights now, I'll wake up and there's a rat making a noise in the roof. And in recent weeks there have been, go work this out, yeah, in about the past month there's been at least 3 rats that these guys have got. These guys are busy sleeping today, ain't they? Hey? You know what you used to do, sleep all day and hunt all night, eh? That's right, my big pussy. Jeez, he's big. He's flipping huge compared to her. Yeah, don't see that much of him, or I haven't been, because he's been snoozing under the house in the warmer days, and now it's cooler. He's just sitting in here next to the gas fridge, which I basically never use and is now covered in dust. Might come in good one day for a little experiment, and it still has a good regulator and whatnot on it. I bought that around the same time I bought my wood heater. And when I done all the maths on how much gas it was going to take, I just decided, no, forget it. I'll just use ice packs in my parents' freezer and go over there a couple of times a week and swap the ice packs over, which sort of never used to happen any more than about once a week, and things would sort of be going off in the esky. And then within 9 months of moving in, I had the solar fridge sorted. Actually, I think I was onto the Engel by that time. I used to have the Waco. Don't really trust Wacos, but anyway, some of you have already heard that story. And yeah, anyway, I better continue on with this wall. This has all gone quite good. Added 2 old sheets. These sheets are left over from, holy smoke, 1995. So these are, bloody hell, they're 21 years old before they've even gone up on a wall. I wiped the dust off the back of this one. I didn't offer that one, but the amount of screws we got in it and the amount of glue on the back, I went through a tube of glue, putting these 2 on. Technically speaking, you're supposed to use acrylic stud adhesive, but in all honesty, liquid nails is just as good. And if you don't have a massive job to do, there's no point buying a freaking 10-pound bucket of the shit, you know. So, yeah, I didn't even get the proper branded liquid nails. I just got the cheap-ass alternative, Maxi Nails Perfects. I couldn't believe it. The proper stuff, $4. That stuff, I could not believe it. It was $1.90 a tube or something like that. And if you bought a 4-pack, it was $1.80 a tube. No, 3-pack, it was $1.80 a tube. And $1.90 on their own like that. I just, ooh. You know, the acrylic gap filler. Which if you look on the back of your solar panels, you're most likely to actually have gap filler between your, you can't bloody see it because of the way it's always, too bright or too flippin' dark and all silhouettes. Anyway, the solar panels are out there, and in between your aluminium frame and your actual panel, they often have gap filler instead of silicone. And this stuff, even the good branded stuff, is usually about, $2.20 a tube, and or I paid $2.20 a tube for this or something like that, and generally the glue's always dearer than the gap filler, but for some reason, yeah, it wasn't. This is, I think I bought this for the cardboard house, to be quite honest. I've barely used any, if at all. And then I've got all these spare tubes hanging around that are, I think I've got another 2 full tubes as well of that out in the laundry. Anyway, better get back to it.